when that author is struggling and they're at this moment of turning it from me to them, who else wins from this book? The easiest way to sell is to build community and figuring out who else wins. So I'm in yoga. I wrote a book about yoga. Maybe the yoga studio wins. Maybe I'll go speak at a yoga studio and talk to their class about yoga or their class about the benefits. So now the yoga instructor benefits because an expert's coming in to speak or whatever. So figuring out how quickly somebody else can win. Who is it? I'm a PT therapist and I wrote a book about this, and I could bring 3 people into my shop at night to talk about whatever. So who else wins?
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. This is the author podcast. That's not my fault. Yep. No, it's not my fault because somebody else came up with a brilliant idea of doing this show. And every 100 episodes, he comes back just to kind of kick the tires, make sure we're all behaving ourselves. And it's great to have him back. Dominick Domasky is the amazing mind behind Motivation Champs. And he takes over the world with content, and he does it in a great way. And he serves. And the whole idea of this show was from a conversation between the two of us about having a podcast for authors. And I'm thrilled to have this man back again. 8th time, because he came on for his own books. But Dominick Domasky's here, one of my idols. He's my American idol because I'm in Canada. Dominick Domasky, how are you?
Dave, I say the same thing about you. You are my idol, your consistency, your spirit. I'm a fan. I love you, man. And thanks for the opportunity.
It's great. Yeah, we're doing a lot here on this show and the other podcasts. So again, any time to have time with you on my screen is great. I need to see you in real life though, Dominick Domasky. So got to make that happen.
Absolutely, my friend. We got to get you. I got to get up across that border. You got to get down here, and we got to exchange, come down here and have a hamburger.
Ooh.
And I'll come up there and have whatever I need to have.
There you go. Some poutine. That's what you need. Gravy, cheese, and French fries. There you go.
I eat that. I do eat that. Yeah.
Probably not the best for you, but
I'm down. Well, right. I only like things that aren't good for me. So
I love it. Okay. So people listening, Dom, if they haven't heard you 8 times on this podcast, they have a lot of homework to do. Motivation Champs, the big idea behind Motivation Champs, how you help authors and creative people. Just give us the lowdown again. Let's remind everybody.
Lowdown, thank you. And that makes me 1% host by the way.
I know you.
And I just want to know.
You get your own parking spot. I know we're working on it. Yeah.
I'm putting that in my bio. Okay. Motivation Champs, what it is basically, I want to live in a world where people don't slam doors on each other, where people smile when they see a stranger on the street. And maybe if an old lady's walking across the road, they help her rather than look the other direction. Mm. And I believe in that in every phase of my life. And so I always say that I want to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles every way I can, Dave. So whether that's being on Living the Next Chapter 1% of the time, or helping an author share their story, an author that maybe they've struggled with abuse. Maybe they've struggled with not fitting in. Maybe they have ways that can teach us how to make millions and millions of dollars or take time off and go fishing with your grandson. Mm. So what I try to do is put out content in every form, whether that's video, being on a podcast with you, or books that really elevates humanity. And so the mission, it becomes stronger and stronger. And with each person that does it, that we help, that's what it's all about.
Beautiful. You've been doing this for a long time, right?
Yeah. I wrote my first, just so everybody knows here, I asked David if we could talk about failure and things like that. It took me about 7 years to write my first book. So way back in 2005, I started writing a book. It took me about 7 years to write my first one. And I made every mistake there was. It was underdeveloped. It was silly. It was poorly edited. The cover was something I wouldn't pick today. And I started to think, but I'd go out, speak on the stage, and somebody would come up to me and they'd have a story. The next person would have a story. Yeah. And so early in about 2010, I started thinking, if all these people have stories, kind of like David here, if all these people have stories, what if I help them share their story? What if it wasn't about me? Maybe we could inspire more people. Maybe we could make this world a little better place easier if we, when one person does, that's like a snowball or momentum. And so probably, so since 2005, that's when I started. And probably 2013, it became a business that wasn't about me, David.
Yeah, well, I like that you said that, Dominic. It's not about you. Yeah. But somebody has to drive the ship. Somebody has to steer this thing, right? You got to put it in the right direction. So as much as it's not about you, you're a big part of this. And you've had a big impact on a lot of people, including myself, through the Clubhouse days, which you're still doing, which is amazing. But Clubhouse days, I remember being with you on many, many stages there and just falling in love with your heart for serving people. And it's rare in this world to have people like you out there that put so many other people ahead of you all the time. I don't know. There's some good genes down there in your part of the world. So yeah, I love it.
Thank you. And I credit Mom for that. Mom was a believer in me and a believer in everybody else. And always, as sweet as she was a fighter for the people she believed in. And so I hope, David, that I could be that kind of person. There's people out there hurting or people out there that could use some support. Maybe I could be that person. And then maybe Mom will look down on me proud.
So this is episode 700 of Living the Next Chapter. And for those who are listening new, every 100 episodes, Dominic comes back again to kind of give us a little pep talk, point us in the right direction. He's like the guy at the boxing matches that comes into the ring in between rounds and kind of wipes the sweat off you, kicks you in the butt, straightens your head and gets you back into the game. That's what happens every 100 episodes. Dominic's the one that jumps through the ropes and does that. So I know you like boxing metaphors. So that's what Dominic is for me. And instead of having an episode of just, hey, let's talk about how great Dave is, because he's got 700 episodes, I want to celebrate the fact that we've hit this milestone, but I want it to be more value for the person listening, right? That's the whole goal for this podcast. I don't do solo episodes on this show. I don't address my audience one-on-one. Everything's through my guests, every episode, right? So I wanted to have a conversation with you. You brought up the idea of failing or feeling like you're failing, maybe feeling like you're not making the progress you are envisioning for yourself as a creative person. And how do you overcome that? Like, how do you push through those days? You've got stories for days about overcoming failure and some pretty dark days, but for the creative person that's listening, I think we get in our heads a lot when we're trying to create this thing from nothing. Not everybody understands us and why we're doing what we do. And then we get pushback and we get this feeling like, well, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe somebody would be better. Maybe I'm taking somebody else's space right now. Maybe I should move out of the way and let somebody else have this space. But I think that's dangerous. Like, what we have and who we are in this world can't be duplicated by anybody else. So we need you as a creative person to push through those times of that. So expand a little bit more of what's kind of in your heart, your mind for a conversation today, because I don't want this to be an interview. I want this to be a conversation. So I want to follow you too here.
I appreciate you bringing that up and having this conversation. So many people show the thousands of views, the millions of views, the successes, the #1 bestsellers, all the good times. And that's not always how it works. None of those people that are showing those things started there. And so, David, when we talk, I am so comfortable in getting more comfortable. I want people to know if I got 1 million somewhere, or I had 0 a lot of times, I had 1 a lot of times, I had the best piece of content that nobody looked at. And here you are thinking, I think this hits in every way. I spent my time, I developed it. And for whatever reason, it could be an algorithm, it could be it could be when you posted it, it could be the audience size at the moment, doesn't make that piece, that message any less worthy. And what I notice and what I want to encourage people, I'll start here. when you put out that piece of content. Just because nobody looked at it that day, or one person looked at it that day, or 5, or whatever number that they're looking for, that doesn't mean people aren't going to find it later. And if you believe in it, if you believe in the message, so I'm so committed to my pillars of inspiration, positivity, and smiles. So if I put out a piece of content that fits in one of those, inspiration, positivity, or smiles, okay, I did what I set out to do. And then later on, if it reaches somebody, when it does, and they say, "Hey, Dom, that inspired me," like David said, "Hey, yeah, I'm your ring card guy, or I'm the trainer that comes in the middle." So, hey, thank you, man. You saying that means a lot to me. And so that's where I wanted to start the conversation, just with, it's okay that you're just starting out. It's okay that you're not where someone else is. Just you're on a different journey.
The one thing I hear when I hear authors talk on podcasts and other things is they love to wave all of their accolades and everything that they've accomplished. You know, I'm a #1 bestseller. I'm a best this. I'm a best that. And that's kind of like their entrance fee to get into the conversation. And yes, I admire people who reach milestones. Those are to be celebrated and to be honored. That's not something I want to put down. But I think the value in what you create in your connection with people is far outweighs any kind of award or accolade, because without the connection with people, like, it's just a trophy. It's just a thing on the wall. It's a thing on your cupboard. Like, your connection with people is the thing that's going to last long after any kind of award like that. So how do we balance out going for that thing that gives us accreditation and something that we can use to promote our book and sell more books? And how do we balance that with genuine connection with a handful of people who really love what we do?
My answer to that is, it is all about the strong why. And has become cliche, but why did you write this book? Why did you start this podcast? Why are you working so hard? Why are you writing late at night when everybody goes to bed? Why is David recording at 11 p.m. when everybody's sleeping? What is the why? And if you know that, if your why is strong enough, and that's what I really am focused on. So if I really do believe, I told you that I believe in sharing inspiration, positivity, and smiles. I said that I want to develop content that elevates humanity. If I really believe that, on the days when I don't get an award, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
On the days where nobody gave me a heart on a post, I'm going to be okay. Because, well, then I'll try again tomorrow. I'll make it better the next time. I'll take the feedback from that why and rewrite my description on it and try again 2 days from now, if the why is strong enough. So all those other accolades, like David getting an award or anybody else, the awards come with the work, with the time, with the effort. So I believe, David, if you put in the time, put in the work, and the why is strong enough, the accolades will follow.
Yeah, kind of the idea behind this show, birthed out of a conversation between the two of us, but is I wanted this show to be focused on my guest. And I wanted my guest to walk away from this not with just content, but a conversation that inspired them as a guest and a new connection in life with me. Like, my goal has been to collect as many people as possible. That's what I want to do. I just want to collect people. Like, everything else is great, comes and goes, but people are great to collect. And you never know who you'll cross paths with and who that could lead to, and other opportunities are going to happen. And when you connect with people and people get to know who you are, then people start talking about you, and you're in somebody's thoughts, long after you listened to a podcast or read their book or saw them do their social posts. You're still in their thoughts. They're thinking about you days later, going, "That Dominick guy, there's something about that guy," right? It lingers, and that's not an analytic you can measure. You can't measure that linger and that mulling over of something that you saw or read or heard that just sat with you, right? And I think when we look at our stats and we see one listen or one view or one heart or something, and we're like, oh, I'm failing. But what if that one person that connected with that content, just something changed, a light switch went off for them and put them on a new course or something, and open doors for them that had you not done that piece of content or wrote that book or did that post, they might never have had that aha moment, where they saw life differently because of what you did. So I'm always trying to encourage people to not judge their success based on everyone else's success, right? And that comparison trap that we get caught up in. But the one thing I'm really trying, I struggle with though, Dom, is we want our books to sell. We want people to buy our books. We want to know that it's resonating. We want the sales there. It took a lot of time, a lot of money to do this. We want our books to be successful. And I still feel there's like this push and pull between, I want to be successful, but I don't want to be so caught up in the numbers that I lose sight of my audience at the same time.
A lot of that push and pull comes from time put in as well. So some people are doing things full time. Some people are doing them part time. Some people are doing things with a team behind them. Some people are doing them with transferable skills while they were in this business and they had this audience already. They were doing these videos and had this audience already. So again, with the comparison, well, they just started out. Well, really, they didn't. They moved from one genre to another. They moved from one form of media to another. And now we're comparing ourselves. Well, they spent more money up front to advertise and all those things like that. So I'm will always fall back to that why. The why, like you're talking about, the impact, how you make people feel.
Yeah.
What is it they say? It isn't what you said, it's how you make them feel.
Right.
So, David, you're a star, man. Nobody makes people feel better than David does. If, like you talked about collecting people, well, I want all my people to know David because like I'm lifted because you make people feel so good. So I hear people with the metrics and the numbers and all that kind of stuff like that, but they have to stay the course and believe. And I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, believe when it's years later, believe when it's snowing outside and you don't feel like going to the speech that you plan to go to because you know there's not going to be a full room. Well, what if, to David's point, what if it's that one person? I remember one time I was at it was a book launch event for me. I had a book and I was at it was a consignment shop. And so I go there to meet the people, and really the consignment shop has all kinds of different things going on there. They're selling crafts and things like that. And I'm doing my part. And let's say I sold 5 books a day, 10 books, whatever, not enough books to make you think it was a lucrative day at event. Then all of a sudden, somebody walked up to me from one of the biggest universities in America, really, and said, "Hey, we'd like to have you come talk at our event." And I'm, what? And so we started emailing. They got me to the powers that be at their university. And this university paid me big dollars to come and speak for, I think I did an hour and a half at that time. Well, to speak for an hour and a half, you better be ready. You better have practiced for a long time. You better have done all the YouTube videos and shorts for 10 minutes. You better have done podcasts to be ready for the hour and a half that you got. And they paid me well, David, but it was because I stepped out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Ready for the moment. Go in, you don't know what's going to happen, but you were there. So don't give up. Don't give up.
Dig the well before you're thirsty. Right.
You know?
Do the prep ahead of time.
Yeah,
That's yeah. You just never know when that opportunity is going to find you. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you were at the consignment shop, you were doing something that wasn't like a typical place to sell books, but you still went there which led to the opportunity. Had you not done any of those steps, that probably would never have happened for you, right?
So can I jump in there with any of the steps? So there's 1,000 ways to sell books.
Yeah.
You could be on podcasts. You could start your own podcast. You could do your own videos. You could go to networking groups. You could go to a real busy craft show and sell books. You could get in communities with other people. You could do all these things. You could send emails. You could do pre-order emails. You could go to consignment shops like that, or you could do none.
Yeah.
So each one of these things helps more.
Yeah.
None of them are the answer alone. But if you're willing to step out each time, step out of the comfort zone, maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll try that. I spoke at the county fair one time, David. I don't know if we ever talked about this. Nobody was there. I was in people were eating hot sausages and stuff like that. And I'm like, they had a sign up with like my picture, and it's like it was, Dom will be speaking at this time. I walk in, the only people there were eating. I still did the best I could. I went up, pretended like I was a rock star, and gave my best speech that I could give for the half hour, whatever. It changed because I'm like waving to people walking in through the county fair at that point, but it happens and it's experience, and hey, one more arrow in your quiver.
Okay. So for the person that's they're trapped kind of in that spiral down where they can't not see the fact that they're not hitting the numbers and success metrics they thought they were going to hit. Let's build them up, Tom. From if somebody came to you, one of your authors, and said, "I'm not feeling like my book has been successful, or my project's not going the way I want it to go." What kind of coaching would you give them to kind of get them out of that funk? Because I think once we get in that funk, it's really hard to get out of that.
One, simplify the message. So I could go real quick. One, simplify the message. Two, consistency. What are you putting out? Are you even what you just told me there would annoy me coming from an author, because it wasn't about the audience. It was about their book. What's the message that you're putting out? What are you giving? What value are you adding to the world? So many people, the number one problem I think is people are like, buy my book, buy this book about, well, okay, well, how is it help them? Maybe it's sci-fi, and this is an entertaining book on sci-fi. It's going to make you forget all your problems going on. It's going to be the best read ever for when you're going out on your next airplane ride or whatever it is. But so many people are so caught up in, I'm going to make a post about link to buy book that doesn't add anything. So that's where I'll start, David. How's that?
Okay. Yeah. I think sometimes we do lose sight of our audience. We do lose sight of that connection. And then I think that's when we get inwardly focused, and then we start comparing ourselves to other people. Right. And that's not a fair comparison, because we all have different starting lines. Like it's not fair. Like, if I decided today to write a book and I started comparing myself to you, how do I compare a week's worth of experience to all of the years of your experience, right? And all the hard lessons you've learned and all the things that you've pivoted and how you've changed and how you've grown. I can't capture that in a week. So we all have that different starting point. So keep that in mind as well.
And then something that's on my mind, and so I'm just blabbering, but yeah. I want to say it is, when that author is struggling and they're at this moment of turning it from me to them, who else wins from this book? The easiest way to sell is to build community and figuring out who else wins. So I'm in yoga. I wrote a book about yoga. Maybe the yoga studio wins. Maybe I'll go speak at a yoga studio and talk to their class about yoga, or their class about the benefits. So now the yoga instructor benefits because an expert's coming in to speak or whatever. So figuring out how quickly somebody else can win. Who is it? I'm a PT therapist, and I wrote a book about this, and I could bring 3 people into my shop at night to talk about whatever. So who else wins?
What else are you seeing? Like, kind of what else is kind of in your heart for those creators out there that are still not seeing the success that they really anticipated and really hoped for?
So I'm going back to something I mentioned here. I want consistency.
Yeah.
So how many people, and I know when I say this that anybody listening, if you're guilty of this, just cover your ears. I'm not trying to hurt you. How many people for the 3 months, for the 2 weeks before their book's coming out, they put out the content? And then the book comes out for 1 month, they put out the content, and then you don't hear from them again.
Yeah.
So sales, I spent 25 years in sales. I sold yellow pages, I sold insurance, I sold pharmaceuticals, and now I'm in the book business. Sales is a basic. They like you, they trust you, they buy from you. So when you come out of nowhere with this book, you are entering a new world. So if you've only been in this world for 3 months before your book or 2 weeks before your book, and now you're expecting people to buy from you in this world of, if it's sci-fi, if it's mental health, if it's whatever. Well, I don't know you in that space because you've only been here for 3 months. Well, I'm Dominick and I'm writing a book on fishing, and people didn't even, I always use fishing as my analogy. I didn't even know you liked to fish, Dominick, because I've never seen you talk about fishing. I've never seen you post about fishing. And now all of a sudden you have a book about fishing. Well, how? They might like me. They aren't going to trust me because I've never talked about this. And now I'm asking you to buy the book. And then 2 weeks later, they're gone. And no more content, no more value, no more anything. So above all, to this author, to the person struggling, you are struggling because you haven't given enough value. Give more value to more people. Want more sales, want to make more money, help more people, and that's that.
Off the top of your head, can you pick one of the authors that you've been working with in the past that's a great example of serving with value around their book?
Serving with value around my book. I'll go a lot of them, but let's go our friend Brian P. Swift.
Yes.
Brian P. Swift is one of the most consistent people when it comes to putting out. Brian is a quadriplegic who broke his neck playing backyard football. So for 20 years, Brian's been putting out inspirational content, uplifting content. Brian puts out a type of content that might not speak to everybody because it is direct as can be. It is a lot of get tough, pick your head up. You can get through it because I did, and I know you can. That message doesn't resonate with everybody, Dave, but it is so clearly his message. He is unapologetically believing that people can get through it. Now, with Brian started a nonprofit called SOAR, Swift Outdoor Accessible Recreation. Brian uses the exposure to help. What's the why? To help people get outdoors, to help a dad go shoot guns with his son, to go hunting for the same time, to help somebody see the beach because Brian helped him get a big tires on a wheelchair that can get them down to the water. To get into their house and out of their house, Brian helped them put a ramp on the outside of their house. So here's a guy that used consistency to start a nonprofit that helps all these people. And so that's why I'll just go with him right off the bat.
Yeah, he's a great example. And talk about somebody who could easily get so inwardly focused and down on life and what life has handed to him and all of these things. He could just easily just back away and not use his platform as a way to help people. Like, he's a great example of turning that around and taking something that others would see as something that's a bad event and turning it into something that changes lives. Like, what a great advocate. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I have another one that you've come across too, David. I think you'll appreciate is the message of help more people. Shar Murphy. So Shar wrote her first book and highlighted some people in it, but then really started this Mission Hope. And what Mission Hope is she finds authors from all around the world and lets them collaborate and share their story. And then she introduces the people like David, and she has this huge network, spider web of inspirational, uplifting authors from across the globe. But it started with her willingness to not be the center of attention and say, wait a minute, I could help more people. The work that she has to go through to find all these authors and publish all these books, she's doing a lot of work, but she does it because the why is strong enough.
Yeah. What else from 700 plus episodes of the show? Uh, like I've had so many people on this podcast that I would never have time with, which has been really, really amazing. U.S. federal judge, a retired FBI agent from Thailand, like just like the most amazing people and stories on this podcast. It's been incredible. When you talk to authors about getting out there and promoting their book and getting it in front of the right ears and eyes, podcasting is obviously one. I'm pretty pro podcast for that. And I really think it's a great way for authors to connect with people. What else are you suggesting in 2026 as some things that your author should consider about giving that value to your audience to promote your book?
One, in real life, don't underestimate the value of in real life events in your community or as far as you're willing to travel. Networking events where you can meet more new people, where you can shake hands, where you can add value in person everywhere you can. Retiree groups, networking groups, middle of the day groups, breakfast clubs, rotaries, chambers, anywhere, creative cons, anywhere, David, that you can get to in real life. I believe in real life events. The second thing, since you said right now, I'm pro podcast, yes. And so start a podcast, share your message any way you can. Turn your camera around and make some videos. David's been killing with the videos lately. So turn the camera around. I'm talking about on your phone, flip it around, talk to the camera. 30 seconds, 1 minute, message, add value. People all day long and add captions too. If you can figure out how to add captions, because a lot of people listen with the sound off. So add the caption. Usually there's a button to push caption, but as quick as you can, start sharing 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I can't undervalue that. Then people say, I don't look great on camera. My lighting's not bad. Do what you can. Do the best you can with what you have.
Right.
Later on, when things take off, buy a new mic, buy a new camera, get some lighting. But for day one, do the best you can with what you have.
Yeah, that's a Theodore Roosevelt attributed quote, something like that. Do what you can with what you have where you are. I'm like, that's such a good foundation for anything, right? Just you have everything you need. You're not lacking in anything. Just start. Just get out there, right? That's how you're going to build that relationship. What's coming up for you, Dom? Like as you look towards the future and you're in on podcasting now yourself with Julie, which I love Julie. Creative Con is doing really well. There's a lot of irons in the fire. You're still on Clubhouse, which I find amazing. What's some directional points for you? What do you got in the future? Where's some signs that you're heading? Where are you going, Dominick Domasky?
First, I want you to say about Dominick Domasky that he is grossly and offensively consistent. I'll take the negative words with that. I want to be so consistent that you see every day from me. It is a 24/7 distribution model of content that uplifts, content that inspires. So from me, as many ways as I can, David, sharing inspiration, positivity, and smiles. So right now I got projects going on with some of the legendary directors in Hollywood. I have, we finished a pilot we're talking about. We have shopped around and it can be in possible development. There's conversations about development somewhere else. We have events like Creative Con that are blowing up and you're thinking about duplicating, scaling them. We have authors and coming in with whether they're talking about abuse, whether they're talking about how they made all kinds of money, whether they're talking about some of the ones that you interviewed that could be talking about just feeling left out and left behind. We are committed 100% to sharing these stories, to helping. So my story, I'm a dopey guy from Pittsburgh, right? Or, that talks how I talk. That story might only resonate with so many people, but if I can help more people share their stories, that could be the story. Let's say you talked to Sonia Chan and she talked to you about
Yeah.
autism awareness and feeling left behind. That's not my story. I don't know personally what it's like to have been on the spectrum.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Sonia's story can't inspire people. The authors
Right.
of Mission to Hope, or Brian that we talked about being a quadriplegic. I don't know what that's like, but his story can inspire people. So for me, it is 100. It's more than 100%. But this commitment to just sharing these kind of uplifting stories, and that's why I'm thrilled to be the 1% host of Living the Next Chapter, because that's what you do, David. So congratulations to you, man, on you're doing it. And so I'm honored anytime you send a message and say, we're getting close to the next 100. Would you like to be on? Hell yeah, I want to be on because I love what you're doing, my friend.
Do you have any time to still write, or is that on pause for you right now?
No, I have multiple things I'm writing right now. I'm um writing. I have screenplays I'm working on. I have files and files that I'm working on. I'm working on a parable that I'm passionate about. Uh, it's always going into something different at this point.
Yeah.
Where I come from a business nonfiction world with my writing, and now as I grow and learn and study and read other books, I try to take different lanes from time to time.
Don't hear a lot of that mentioned in my circle with the show.
Mhm.
That's pretty interesting. All right. So there's lots of stuff we can fall in love with as well, from you as a writer and as someone that also helps authors. Uh, as well, if there's an author that's looking for advice and support, Dominic, I know we've talked about this in the past from you. What kind of things could an author who's looking for that kind of feedback or advice, how do you help authors? We want to make sure that an author listening knows that you're available to them, and in what way? Can you explain a little
Absolutely.
bit? Yeah.
I want an author to be so proud of what they wrote 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I want to dig in, whether it's me, whether it's my team, whether the editors, to every word on that page. Well, I don't have time to dig into every word on the page. Okay. I want to. I want to look at every line and say, does this line really say what you were trying to say? I think you wanted to say something else there. I think you skipped over to something else and you didn't quite say what you wanted to say. And I want to look at that. I want to study that. I want to challenge you. And it might be uncomfortable. I wrote the best book ever, and this is okay, maybe. Maybe you did. But what if I asked you a question? And what if my team asked you a question that made you think about that one line? If I changed this a little bit, it would hit a little harder. It would hit a little longer. It would make them think about my message a year from now. I wonder what Dave, when he said that, it really made me think. I mean, I can go to a Pink Floyd line from 60 years ago and think about that line, lost in a cage, where what did you exchange your walk-on part in the war for something in a cage?
Yeah.
What was he really saying in that line, that walk-on part in a war for a lead role in a cage? So in this line, because it's so perfectly written,
Yeah.
you think about it when you hear that song 60 years later. So the madness, David, is when we go through somebody's book, the book matters that much. What you say matters that much. I want you to care about it that much so that you're so proud.
Yeah.
So that when somebody reads it, when you get in front of that person who gives you, trust you to pick up your book, that you know you've given it your all. There's a lot of other ways you can write books. That you can write books, you can record it, get it out in 30 days, 20 days, within 10 minutes. Just not what I do. And I'm not saying it wrong. Maybe that's the best way for that person that day. It's just not what we do. So it's all about caring so much about every line, David, and then taking that as far as it needs to go. Should that book be a screenplay someday? Maybe. Should it be a podcast? Should you be speaking on stage? Should you be turning that phone around, but making sure that person has the opportunity to go as far as that book, that message is meant to go. And that's the space that I'm trying to play in.
Again, collecting people. I think you're on a similar path. You're a great example of that as well. And maybe that's kind of where I picked up on this idea of collecting people, just watching the way you deal with people and how you help people and how you show up, Dominick Domasky. For me, it's a great example to follow and to be inspired by. And again, this whole podcast idea for the show came just organically through conversation with you. And that simple little nudge of like, Dave, I think you should do this. I'm like, who would ever come on my show? Who would ever want to talk to me? I'm not even an author at this point. And you're like, just do it. And you were right. And the show's doing really well. And we've helped a lot of people. We've shared a lot of authors in the last 3-4 years now. And it's just, there's no end in sight for this. And it's just such a joy to meet these authors that come through my world now because of the show, and to know that we have a positive impact on not only them selling books, which is really important, but them connecting and adding value to the listener and to the reader and building that bridge. I had one person who wanted to come on the show as an author, and they found the show through a search on Apple. They did a recent road trip and they listened to the show from Florida all the way up to Toronto, just listening to Living the Next Chapter. I'm like, that's a lot of Dave. Oof. But that they just love the conversations and they love the people and the variety of people that come on the show, right? And it's such a privilege to have this show. And I just encourage any author, anybody creative, to get out there and put yourself out into places where you can meet people, talk about what you do, to have a box of books sitting on your coffee table in your kitchen, your living room. And you're like, now what do I do with these things? I wrote a book. Nobody knows about it, right? You got to get out there. You got to talk about it. You got to share it. And you got to connect the dots for your audience as well. That's how you're going to sell books. It's going to be successful. And it's going to lead to the next thing, right? So yeah, get out there and share your message. What do you got for a closing thought, Dominick, for our readers, our authors, our listeners?
This one's going to surprise you. Dave, you are a great podcaster, but you are a better man. I love you, man. So get yourself in a community with people like Dave Campbell. Jump in a community like my Motivation Champs. But it's the people like Dave that when you surround yourself with them, they just lift you up, and you're doing that, man. So get with those lifters, the helpers, as Mr. Rogers says. I appreciate you, Dave Campbell. That's all I have.
Excellent. Everyone, all information for Motivation Champs is in the show notes. If you've been here for 700 episodes, you already know how to find Dominick, and you already love him as much as I do. But if this is your first time here, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. 700 episodes for you to fall in love with. And one amazing person by the name of Dominick Domasky that you should keep your eye on, because this guy is doing great things in this world. Dominick Domasky, thank you so much for being on the show. Hey, thank you so much again for pressing play. As you've heard, great guests on the show. And one thing you didn't hear in this conversation is what? What did you not hear? Think about it for a second. That's right. Not a single solitary commercial for a mattress or a supplement or a whatever you call it. No. Why? Because we don't want to break up the conversation with commercials. So the fact that you're still here means that you are a fan of the show, I'm assuming. So if you want to help to keep the podcast going and to make me feel really happy, all I really care about is coffee, okay? I just got to be honest. I love coffee. I'm drinking one right now. It's starting to get cold. I need to warm it up. Helping us with our Buy Me a Coffee link over at livingthenextchapter.com and also in the show notes helps kind of keep the lights on around here. Remember, I'm doing this for free. I'm paying for everything. So I would love to have a little coffee donation, even $5 kind of fills up my cup. And I would love to enjoy a coffee from you. So if you're interested, again, thank you for listening, but you can use our Buy Me a Coffee link and fill up the cup. Thanks for being here.